How's it going, pipe drivers? Let's get jiggy today with the basics of workflow automation, your key to saving yourself shiploads of time with everyday repetitive tasks. Just remember though that with great power comes great responsibility. Depending on the rights you have in your Pipedrive account, you may or may not be able to make workflows. By default, only admin users can create workflows, but admins can allow regular users or other user groups to create workflows if they decide to. Also, if you're an admin user, you'll be able to see your entire company's workflows and disable or enable them if needed. Although you can't edit other users' workflows, just so you know. You can only edit your own workflow, although you can set up workflows that will assign activities and deals and such to other Pipedrive users, just for example. You should also know that if you want to set up a workflow that involves sending out an email, then this has to be done while logged into Pipedrive as the person who owns the email address that's being used to send the email. Sending an email automatically also requires that you have email sync enabled. So let's set up a workflow then. Now when creating a new workflow, you have the option to choose between building one from scratch, or we can select one of these pre-configured templates from the templates gallery. These can help you think a little bit about scenarios that can apply to you. Take the time to think about the more annoying, mundane things you need to do every day or week to week or even month to month, and just start off with something small even. So hypothetical situation, let's say that whenever we import or add deals into the first stage of our pipeline, we need to find out which contacts have phone numbers that we can actually call, and then we schedule calls for each of those contacts, which we can then later bang out one by one in our activity list or the pipeline view. Well, we can set up an automation that will do all of that for us, minus the actual calling part, of course. And so let's pick this handy dandy template here. And so in this case, creating a new deal is the trigger that sets off this whole automation. And normally new deals end up in the first stage of our pipeline, right? Although we could specify a different stage in a different pipeline even if we wanted. But so next, let's specify the details of that activity. You should know that you can customize these activity types, of course, but let's go with a good old call type. Then the due date. Let's say we normally want to do these calls on Wednesdays, or even just the same day or next day after the deal's been created. It's really your choice. Then we just need to give a subject line for our own personal use. And you can just have this be an automatic thing using tags from the deal that's created. So we want to have the deal contact person's name, and then we'll just add first call after. Now this next part is super important. You need to define if you want this automation to be triggered by just yourself, or if anybody in your Pipedrive account can actually trigger it. If we were to just keep this for everyone, this would mean that the same type of activity would be automatically scheduled for every user that's ever adding a deal into the first stage of their pipeline. And I don't know, maybe that's perfect, right? Then let's give our workflow a title so we can easily find it later, and then we'll save it and activate this workflow. And so hey, we're ready for a test drive, eh? Let's just add a new deal here. And would you look at that? We've already got our activity scheduled for next Wednesday. But wait, heck, wouldn't you know it, we forgot to say that we only want an activity scheduled for deals with contacts that have phone numbers. Shoot heck, man. Let's go fix that. So now you get to see what it looks like from the inside without using a template. You see we have our trigger here, the condition which was the first stage of our pipeline, and the activity details. So let's just edit this condition to include some more details. We'll just add an AND condition here. And this condition will be that the deal contact person's phone number is not empty. But you see, you can actually be kind of clever here, and you can even define that it must start with a specific area code, and then you could even use the OR conditions to add several area codes if you just want to hone in on some specific areas. But okay, we've added all of our additional conditions. Let's save this and test it again. And that's more like it, huh? Now we've actually got a phone number to call. But there's just one more cool thing you should know about. Let's say that whenever that happens, you wish you could have also sent an email to the owner of the activity, or you want to send a message to Slack or Microsoft Teams or something like that. Well, rather than just having to create a second workflow that's looking for deals with phone numbers and such, we can just go into that same workflow and add an additional action instead of a condition. This action could be many things, but in our case, we're picking a Slack notification. And here we can format the message that's actually sent to our Slack channel however we need, using the same merge tags from the related deal or activity data. But so basically what we're setting up here is a workflow that says, whenever a new deal is added into the first stage of our pipeline, automatically schedule an activity for it, assigning that activity to the owner of the deal, and send a message to a Slack channel about it. Shut the front door, what a time saver, right? The possibilities are just limitless-ish. And so that's the basics of workflow automation, ladies and gentlemen. See, not too intimidating, right? You can already get started today using the data you already have. No problem. Just give it a couple tests. Thanks for watching, pipe drivers.